I think I figured out what the thing is. Again. Many things being figured out. It's a less than dumb terminal. A smart terminal, I think. I've been putting into practice the actual use of that Raspberry Pi Zero for actual work, and it is slow, surprise. But it can do some stuff. I need to test it on a higher quality network. So one of these days when I go to the library, I'll bring it and connect it to something, I guess. I don't know. When the Go arrives, probably I'll do that. Oh, it's a Oculus Go on the way, which is a lovely gift from a buddy of mine that works on that project. So that'll be a screen, potential screens and all that. Infinite screens. Rah. There's some interesting stuff. It's okay. Focus. I want to take it to the library so that it has a ridiculously fast upload and download, and then see how fast it renders VNC sessions across the internet to like a high quality backbone server, and then how fast it terminals just in general. I think it might be made a little bit faster by switching to a Windows manager that's a bit lighter, like i3 or something. I think it's just really a limitation of the single core, but whatever. The other potential is getting the Pi to have a very I shouldn't really bank on this, but I am still interested in it. Getting the Pi to have a terminal session that is very high resolution or a small font. It's one of those. Either way, whatever I can do to get more text into that area, into a viewable area, is ideal. The more text I can fit in there that's readable, the better I work. So yeah, I worked on it this morning, almost entirely. Yeah. I don't think OBS Studio is gonna run on it. Although I won't be able to live stream those coding sessions on a Raspberry Pi Zero. Although all the processing's taking place somewhere else. The TMUX session is shareable. I don't know, maybe. The other deal is messing around with the screen resolution and multiple screens and stuff like that. I don't know how well that's gonna work. Right now what I've done is I've affixed a Raspberry Pi Zero to my gaming monitor, which has a lovely rotation and very, very high DPI, or you know, whatever. It's really clear and stuff, and has a really good viewing angle. So I've been I hooked that up to it. There's a config file you can change to get it to portrait mode on the Raspberry Pi, because it's not controlled like a standard display driver or display device. Yeah. So I installed a virtual a VNC session, a VNC viewer onto the Raspberry Pi, and I was using that to connect to my server, and I was terminal SSH-ing in, and well, it was handling the tunnel too. So I was port forwarding through that SSH tunnel for the VNC session. It doesn't matter, I would have to do that anyways. And then use that to connect to my server and do work. And I was able to actually do work, and all the keystrokes transferred, and I didn't have any problems there. So that was good. I installed Emacs and i3 kind of as an afterthought, so I'll see how Emacs runs on the Raspberry Pi Zero. I'm guessing not well, but actually I think I tried it. I tried it on a slower card. Yeah, I'll try it this time on a proper card. So we'll see how, if Emacs runs or runs well, because if it does, then I mean, why not just Emacs it up forever? Otherwise I'll just use it as a slightly smarter dumb terminal. So on your keyboard, installed inside your keyboard will be a Raspberry Pi that will do some stuff. It will do either minimal and slow things, or it will terminal into or remotely connect to another box that's doing the actual processing. So that makes it useful, makes it easy to use. Still haven't quite figured out how to do display stuff, but I don't know. Yeah. It is kind of cool to just have the Raspberry Pi attached to the monitor, where it just sits there. I bought one of those little $5 Pi cases, and I just, double-sided sticky tape, whatever that adhesive stuff is, the foam, attached it to the back. So it just runs power. Ideally, I'd like to build it into the monitor and get power off the monitor, but I really don't want to mess with that monitor. It's a really nice monitor. Plus, having a thing with wires hanging all off of it is, I don't know, you know me. That's just me. Like, it looks janky and half-built. It's perfect. And for that, I apologize to all the people who purchased my keyboards. I promise the next version will have case mount holes. It will still have wide edges, so if you do build a case, it will have to fit within the parameters there. I started design on what I'm calling Signum 3 Plus, and it's just going to have the OLED screen and rotary encoder and Arduino Nano attachment to it. I should probably reduce the pins so it'll fit a Pro Micro as well, if you want to put a Pro Micro to drive the OLED and to kick off key buttons that you program. So that'll be neat. Would be quite pleasant. I don't know, the number row is off-putting to me. I like the Signum 3.1, but I like the 3 better. And I think it has mostly to do with the form factor. Everything's smaller. It looks neater. I like the aesthetics of the wider design rather than the taller design. But I've always liked that. Doesn't mean everyone else does. So yeah. Now that I'm better at KiCading, I'll be able to, get proper rounded edges and all kinds of good stuff and have it all fit together properly. This is weird. Okay, rounded edges. Terminal. Right. So, yeah, it's It's good. It's a good, is it good? It's alright. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good terminal box. I don't have the, you know, the fastest download speed connection, but it ran pretty well. It was very workable, which is more than I can say for the box running OBS Studio on that upload speed. Yeah, that was like, that delay of, you know, a couple hundred milliseconds just killed me. Just super annoying. And I didn't have that. There were some display rate, like draw rate issues. If I was switching screens really fast, there would be, you know, I don't even want to say, probably a little under 100 milliseconds to refresh the screen. There would be some spikes where it would take a little over 100 milliseconds, but you could definitely tell if you did a big switch that it was, the Pi was struggling to keep up with presenting the characters on the screen. But little changes, no problem. Similar for VNC, because I had full color rendering on VNC, and there's apparently no documentation on changing desktops, switching desktops on a Raspbian OS, or the modern version. Used to be Control Alt left right, and now it's Shift Alt left and right. And that took a while to find. I had actually sent a window to an alternative desktop, and I was like, great, how do I get there? like searching around trying to figure out how I'm supposed to get there. This is all uninteresting. Right, so once I get to a fast internet connection, I'll be able to tell whether or not the Raspbian or the Raspberry Pi is actually slow, or if it's just my internet, to see how fast it really is. But once I can determine that the Raspberry Pi can run a fast VNC session, it's gonna be good. From what I've read, the VNC viewer has very limited requirements, and the speed at which things are displayed depends primarily on the VNC server horsepower. So I don't think I should have a problem there, but I mean, I'm going to troubleshoot anyways. I'm going to compare on this and on that, and bring a full box and something with a lot of speed. While I was doing this, I was also playing around with so I was messing around with the screen resolutions, and the Raspbian kind of has a problem with the high resolution screen that I have. Either that or the rate. Something about it doesn't like at all. So it displays slightly windowed within the monitor, which is fine as long as it's clear. But when I expand it to 16:10 ratio, it's not clear at all. All the text loses focus. So it's definitely something going on there, but I don't think it will be a problem. What's going to be really interesting is seeing how all of this renders on an Oculus Go. I did a little bit of Oculus Go research. It seemed like that was the place to go, because it doesn't have the, I don't know, apparently it's kind of in the middle of a few niches and fits pretty well at doing a thing. It fits kind of well, and not even top of the line or anything, but it's also $200, so it's like, it's targeted for that price point, but you don't get, well, whatever you don't get, I'm not interested in, because I'm not interested in moving around in a 3D space. I'm more interested in projecting a view over my eyes so that I can have as much screen real estate as I want. Interface with that, have, you know, a screen that wraps around me entirely, which would be pretty neat. That also means, like I said, more text I can fit on a screen, the better and the faster I work. The other cool thing is, if you have mouse pointer tracked by your VNC viewer on your 3D head tracking, or in your 2D head tracking, I guess, then you have, I don't want to say you have eye tracking, because you don't, but you have like head tracking, and you can move back and forth between windows and stuff while you look around. So whatever window you're looking at has context while you're typing, and then, you know, you look over at that other window and now you're looking back at your browser that has your reference information on it. You don't really get, the mouse input is kind of interrupted. I'm not quite sure how to handle that. Because you can't, like, if I look over at a screen that requires a mouse usage, or like I look at a screen that has text on it that I want to copy paste, so I have to be precise. I'm not going to be, you know, super precise with my head. It would make more sense to use a mouse. So you would have to have something like the mouse supersedes the head tracking control, or the VNC mouse input or something. And all of this presumes that we can send local input devices to a virtual session. Either that, or you can force whatever the device is to generate a local session, like a console local session, on in an unsupported resolution. Because, like, if you create a virtual VNC session, you can create it whatever resolution you want, it doesn't matter. And then when you connect to it, that connection has that resolution, including those impossibly long ones. However, if you do it on a virtual session, you are at the mercy of whatever your VNC viewer is for passing keystrokes. And hopefully those pass well. So if they don't, then you lose keystrokes. I do want to park here. It would make more sense to just be able to connect to the console session. But can the console session basically fail to display? Like, the display adapter is going to fail to present that screen. It's going to fail to draw that resolution. And in this case, we would want it to ignore that and then keep passing input to it and keep sharing it with a VNC server, I guess. I don't know. There's probably some Linux gurus that would be able to answer that question. Till next time.